Welcome in. Ever since you shared that interview with Yumi,
Yumi.
yeah, the musician who's bringing back that 80s dance vibe,
Oh, yeah. Right.
well, it got me thinking about how much music connects to, well, everything.
Yeah.
Not just a good beat, but memory, feelings, even who we become.
It's true. Music has this amazing power to be so much more than just, like, background noise.
Right.
Yumi's really onto something with that whole soundtrack of our lives idea.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because it's not just Yumi saying this, is it?
Right.
It feels almost universal how a song can instantly, like, boom, catapult you back to a certain time, a specific feeling.
Totally.
What's the science behind that? How does that work?
You're talking to what we call musical memories, and it's actually linked to how our brains are wired.
Okay.
You see, the way we process music involves several different brain regions, including the hippocampus.
Hippocampus, okay.
Yeah, which plays a huge role in memory formation.
So it's like the music is hardwired into those memories.
Exactly. Yeah. And because emotions are also processed in the hippocampus.
Oh, interesting.
It's no wonder that music can evoke such powerful feelings.
Wow.
Think about it. A specific song can transport you back to your first dance, a graduation ceremony, a moment of heartbreak.
Oh, yeah.
And you're right back there feeling all those emotions as if it were yesterday.
Wow, that gives me chills just thinking about it. It's kind of incredible when you break it down like that.
It really is.
But Yumi's really into this 80s sound, the synths, the energy.
Right.
Why does that particular era still resonate so strongly, even with people who, well, weren't around to rock out to it firsthand?
That's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
And it speaks to how trends cycle through our culture, but also how music captures the essence of a specific time and place.
Yeah,
The 80s were interesting,
for sure.
a time of bold self-expression,
Big time.
a kind of cultural exuberance,
Yeah.
and the music mirrored that perfectly.
Yeah, like those synths were something else.
Right.
Do you think it was partly the technology too? I mean, the 80s brought in all those new synthesizers and drum machines?
Absolutely.
Right.
The 80s saw the rise of iconic instruments like the Roland TR-808 drum machine
Oh, yeah.
and the Yamaha DX7 synthesizer,
Classic.
which gave the music a very distinct sonic palette.
They did, yeah.
Think about those gated reverb effects on the drums,
Yeah.
the layered synth pads.
Right.
Those sounds just scream 80s.
They do.
Yeah.
And Yumi seems to be tapping into that same energy, that same spirit in her own music.
Yeah.
Almost like she's found a way to bottle that 80s magic and share it with a whole new audience.
It's interesting you say that because Yumi specifically talks about wanting her music to provide escape, connection, and joy. Emotions that many associate with that era. And those aren't just, feel-good buzzwords or anything.
Right.
There's actual science backing up how music impacts our mood.
Oh, tell me more.
Tell you more.
Oh. Yeah. I've always felt like music could shift my whole mood,
Sure.
but I never really understood why.
Well, you know how sometimes you just need to blast a certain song?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Turns out there's a reason for that.
Okay.
Listening to upbeat music, and we're talking major keys, lively tempos, can trigger our brains to release dopamine.
Dopamine.
That feel-good neurotransmitter.
Okay, so it's not just me. Upbeat music really does make you feel good, literally.
Yeah.
But Yumi also talked about those quieter moments, how music helps her unwind.
Right.
Is there something to that as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Music doesn't just amp you up.
Right.
It can also help regulate those more difficult emotions.
Interesting.
There's a growing field of music therapy
Oh, wow.
that uses music to help people cope with anxiety, depression, even chronic pain.
Really?
Imagine that prescribed playlists.
Wait, prescribed playlists? I have to know more about this.
Right. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Different genres and even specific tempos can have varying effects.
Okay.
For instance, studies show that listening to calming music, think classical ambient sounds, or even certain types of electronic music with slower tempos.
Like ambient electronica.
Exactly.
Okay.
Can actually lower your heart rate and blood pressure.
Wow. That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. This reminds me of something Yumi said about creating intentional playlists for different moods.
Yes.
Like a playlist for when you need a boost, another one for winding down, almost like music as a tool for self-care.
Exactly. And a remarkably accessible one, wouldn't you say?
For sure.
Think about it. Music is something most people can access easily. It's portable, and it's incredibly personal.
That's true.
You can curate your own sonic landscape depending on what you need in that moment. Yumi's really advocating for a more mindful approach to listening, which I think is fantastic.
Totally. It's like she's taking all this intuitive knowledge we have, like how certain songs just get us.
Totally.
And saying, hey, let's use this intentionally.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it's not just theoretical, right?
Right.
Remember how she shared that story about her music helping someone through a really difficult time?
Yeah, that was powerful.
Yeah.
It reminded me of how music can feel like a lifeline sometimes.
Right. Music has this incredible power to comfort and uplift us, even in the darkest of times.
Yeah.
And it's something we see repeatedly, people turning to music for solace during times of grief, heartbreak, uncertainty.
It's true.
It's like music transcends language, offering comfort and connection on a deeper level.
It's almost like music can say the things we can't always put into words.
Right.
But going back to Yumi for a sec,
Yeah.
it's so interesting that she's chosen to channel all of this through a very specific sound, the 80s.
Right.
Do you think that limits her message or actually amplifies it in a way?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
On one hand, she is working within a specific sonic palette, drawing on musical references that some listeners might not connect with as strongly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, she's also tapping into those universal emotions we all crave. Joy, that sense of freedom.
Right.
And I'd argue a feeling of possibility that transcends any particular decade.
So it's like she's found this sweet spot, right? Using something familiar, those classic 80s sounds, to create a bridge to something new, something that speaks to everyone.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And it reminds us that music is always in conversation with its own history. Yumi's 80s revival is just one example of how artists are constantly building on what came before, reinterpreting the past to create something fresh and relevant for today.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a cycle of creative energy that never really ends.
And that's what's so cool, right?
Yeah.
This deep dive started with one artist,
Right.
but it's really got us thinking about how much music is interwoven with, well, being human.
Absolutely. Yumi's story highlights something we often forget,
What's that?
that music is much more than just entertainment.
Yeah.
It has this incredible power to tap into our emotions, to connect us, to heal, to inspire.
It's true. It's like, what if we all approached music a little more intentionally, like Yumi suggests?
Right.
What if instead of just being background noise, it became a tool to shape our day, our mood, even how we move through the world?
I love
Something to ponder, right?
Absolutely. And on that note, I think we'll leave our listeners with this thought.
Okay.
What if you took a moment today to really listen, to let the music in, to feel its power, and to remember its potential to transform not just your day,
Yeah.
but maybe even your life?